ho, ho. Hey, what's up, everybody in our YouTube community? You know what? Hit like and subscribe, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite Average Good podcast. Call what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies. We're still holding it down here for Tony Miola as he recovers. We're thinking about you, Tones, every single day. We can't wait for you
Always
to come back. That'll be happening very, very soon. Now, in honor of Tony, really, right? We want to bring the good energy today and get into it. Now, I'm actually really hot. I'm triggered right now, Chuck, about AC Milan and Christian Pulisic's role today. But before, I just want to menu the show here a little bit, okay? So we're going to get some midweek news and notes. We're going to do a preview of the weekends. We're going to have Trigger Who You Want in the next segment. And then in our last segment, we have a special guest. San Diego FC's Luca de la Torre is joining the show. And I can't wait to hear what he has to say, Chuck. Now, a couple things happened in Serie A. One was in the Coppa Italia, and one was in the league. Okay, we'll start Coppa Italia first, and then we'll get into. I'm really triggered on this one. Coppa Italia, Juventus lost to Empoli. Empoli are currently 18th on the table in Serie A. That's in the relegation zone, and they beat Juve in Turin on penalties to advance to the Coppa Italia semifinals. Juve are out of the Champions League. They're out of Coppa Italia. They're currently in fourth in Serie A, holding on for knuckling it right now. And Weston McKennie started the game as captain. Let's start there. Chuck, your thoughts on Juve and their season overall. It's falling apart.
It's so inconsistent, Jimmy. When I look at Juve, I think of ultimately, the beginning of the season, Thiago Motta was a wanted manager. Bologna were flying. They qualified for Champions League. And they were supposed to move forward from Allegri's boring defensive, right?
Right.
The fortitude, right? Juve, heart, desire. Okay, I love that. But then you also have to have creativity and attacking prowess and excitement going forward. It's been everything but that. It's been a lot of side to side. Okay, we have possession. We're not just launching it forward. We're creating chances, but are you really creating chances? Are you creating different chances? I love Weston McKennie, how he's been able to move forward, taking responsibility from, on the outskirts. I don't know if he's wanted here. I don't know if he's meant for this new era of Juve I'm the guy. I need to be on the pitch because I helped this team win and I know how to win. And I'm a competitor, to rocking the captain's armband. Think about the juxtaposition from he's out of the plans to captain at Juve. Right. And then I look at what Timothy Weah has also done, figuring out a way to, whether it's been an attacking right wing, left wing, striker, right back, left back, but figuring out a way that I need to be on in the team as well. It hasn't gone smoothly. And you could say, okay, Kolo Muani, he's brought in as a striker and loan because Vlahovic has not been the answer, and I don't think he is the guy moving forward.
He missed a penalty tonight, and he also missed a really good chance, Chuck. But keep going.
Yeah, so you give kind of the credit to the players because I think from a manager standpoint, it hasn't gone the way it's supposed to go. But what's that leeway for a manager? Because we've seen teams with different philosophies. We'll give the coach 2 years. We'll give the coach a year. Do you give the coach 6 months? At what point do you say it's not going as he hasn't even met the minimum requirement?
So what's interesting, Juventus are in fourth on 49 points. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're 5 points behind Atalanta, who are in third, and 7 points behind Napoli, and technically only 8 points behind Inter at the top. Lazio right behind them with 47, Bologna 44, Fiorentina 42, Milan 41. We'll get into Milan in a second. What's interesting about Juve, 43 goals for, 21 against in 26 games. So they're defensively doing pretty well, right? Only giving up 21 and 26. Their goal differential is plus 22.
That's what we saw from Allegri.
I know. What's crazy, listen, everybody, 26 games. They've lost 1 in the league. 12 wins, 13 draws, and 1 loss. I don't, there's a lot of clubs that would love that record. They would take that record. But based on what you're explaining, and obviously the history of Juve and what they've achieved and over the years, and even under Allegri, and now that they're out of 2 cup competition, it just isn't good enough. It's just not good enough. And it's kind of funny to say that, despite, okay, if you take away if you just said, hey, listen, Chuck, if Juve says that, hey, by round 26, we'll only have 1 loss. I think as a Juve fan, you'd be like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah,
but you're in 4th right now. You're in 4th.
So
Crazy,
here's my
dude.
thing.
That's crazy.
You look at where he is, right? Only 1 loss. It's great, but from the foundation of we got to attack because our defensive structure is sound, and it has been. It's not about us defending. It's about us going forward. It hasn't been great, but they're draws instead of losses. So I think from a Juve standpoint, you say, okay, we'll give you another year. This is part of the project, part of the plans. You look at Milan in 8th. That's not good, which they sacked the manager, but Conceição is probably just as bad.
Fonseca, we could argue that Fonseca might have been better. Paulo Fonseca, the previous manager,
if you gave him the same additions that you gave Conceição, Fonseca, you could argue would be better, in a better position than what Conceição is.
It's possible.
And so to build off of that, I know we haven't even segued to Milan, but
well, you're working on it. Keep going.
Let's go into what Christian Pulisic has done, because it feels like nothing's going to change at Juve, right? Thiago Motta is going to finish.
No, nothing's going to change. Skip out the season,
and they're in 4th. So as long as they're in the top 5, I don't see a big issue, anyways. And I don't. Do you see them dropping out of the top 5?
Well, top 5 doesn't matter anymore because
top 4. Sorry,
they're not going to have the coefficient, right? So they need the top 4. No, I think the benefit now of Juve being out of all these other competitions is that they can just focus on Serie A. They can focus on their domestic league and try to get results. They've got a couple games in there, Roma, Atalanta, that are going to be tough, but they've got some ones that they should win. The problem is, Chuck, just to put a bow on this Juve conversation, they're not winning the games that they should. And that's why they have a lot of draws this season. I do fully expect Juve to get top 4, but I don't know how it's going to change. You just got to make some player changes. You know where I think they really lack is when Bremer went down early, the center back. When he went down early and got a season-ending injury, that just changed everything. And I don't think they've really replaced him like for like.
Yeah, but they don't have to. They have 21 goals against. The defense is not the issue.
Yeah, but he's got the leadership presence. You know,
No.
I don't know. You're right. Okay, that's fair. But like
defensively, they're good. It's what it is if you stick with Vlahovic, which is what they did to start the season when there was all these question marks last year. I would have said go in a new direction, sell him right now, which is I would say you could probably argue that his price, if you were able to sell him, would probably be in the still 60, 70 million euro range. Now we're talking 40 maximum.
Right. Okay.
He's been so underwhelming.
All right. Well, we don't want to go this all the way into like a Serie A podcast because there's plenty of those out there, especially from Matteo Benetti. So make sure you go listen to what Matteo's been putting out there. Let's get to the game that I'm triggered about the most. I teased it at the top.
Do it.
Bologna hosting AC Milan. Now, Milan, I'm just going to spoiler alert you if you haven't seen the result yet. 2-1, Bologna won. Okay, Rafael Leao scored first. Okay, a little flick from Santi Jimenez, and he gets in behind the defenders, dribbles around the goalkeeper, and scores. Milan come back and subsequently give up 2 goals. One was off a throw-in, super casual, nobody marked. I mean, kind of marked by Pavlovic in the middle of the field. Just too easy, though. Way too easy. And they end up losing 2-1. My beef, though, I'm not a Milanista, so I can't speak to like the emotion of the results. But what I can speak to as a Christian Pulisic fan is that Sergio Conceição, the manager of Milan, okay, he rolled out as a starting 11, or at least the front 4, Rafael Leao on the left, Santi Jimenez up top, Yunus Musa on the right, and Joao Felix underneath. And he left Christian Pulisic on the bench.
What do you got to say about that?
I got issues, man. Why is Joao Felix being trusted to be the guy when he's barely played there? Now, I understand that there's a relationship between Joao Felix and Sergio Conceição that predates this relationship here at AC Milan. They've known each other for a long time, both Portuguese. I get all that. And so there might be a level of trust that he doesn't have with any other player on the team, including Rafael Leao, who's also Portuguese. Okay, but how does Christian Pulisic not start this game? He comes in the 61st minute to replace Joao Felix, and it's clear that Joao Felix isn't really fired on all cylinders, Chuck. So I'm fired up about this, that of the one player that has to make way for Joao Felix is going to be Christian Pulisic. I'm pissed about it. Now, maybe there's an argument to be made that the manager's like, listen, he's carrying an injury. I got to manage his minutes. And if that's the case, and we've heard some rumblings that he might be carrying something, okay, there's some common sense in there. But Joao Felix isn't necessarily performing. I thought he was good in his first game. He was good. He scored a very good goal. And he doesn't need to score a goal for me to say that he had a good game. But that helped. He hasn't been someone you can trust, Chuck. So you have Christian Pulisic is someone who has proven consistently this season that he can be trusted. And so that's where I get a little bit frustrated. And so that's it. That's where I am right now. And I'm a little hot. I'm a little hot.
Okay.
I'm not like Chuck Davies hot, but I'm like close.
But I'll say this. We know Christian Pulisic, right? And he's shown his class in Milan, in Serie A, in Champions League. We kind of know what you're going to get from Christian Pulisic. And it's not like his talent has gone away. A new coach has come in. He's got preferences, and he's decided to go with Joao Felix in a lot of cases. And we knew there was going to be some stumbling blocks with Joao Felix coming into the team because of how he plays and how he operates and where he moves. And typically we've seen Christian take up a lot of those places that Joao Felix likes to roam into. Now, on the flip side, how impressed are you with Yunus Musah to still find a play going 90? He had an incredible moment where he was able to dribble down the right, cut. Something we haven't seen of him go 1v1 like that and shoot with his left, and it ended up going out for a corner. I think he actually could have played Christian in the middle. It's just right after Christian came into the game. But Yunus Musah is giving me life as he's continuing to try and find some form. Of course, it didn't end up working out, but there's progress in the way that Yunus Musah is playing. And it's kind of like we know Christian is talented and going to bring it, and we don't really question it when he comes to the U.S. men's national team. I think for Yunus Musah, because he's so young and kind of relatively unproven at that level, we still need him to be playing and progressing and evolving. So as much as we know Christian's at a little bit of a influx with Conceição, I think I'm much more optimistic given that Yunus Musah is playing.
Okay. All right. That's the silver lining. I'll take that.
Silver lining.
Received. I received
Beautiful.
Silver lining.
All right. I'm changing that energy from you.
I'm still pissed though, because it's about trust. And listen,
Yes.
We're getting some great comments that are saying that it's ego, right? You signed this guy. He's your new shiny toy. You paid a lot of money for him, or you're taking on his wages or whatever the loan deal came from with Chelsea. You want to play him. I get all that. I totally respect all that, but it comes down to trust. And so you're relying on someone that okay, you maybe knew in the past, and obviously he's talented, but when you have a guy that's already been doing it and proven it and done it for you already, it is a bit baffling. I'm hoping there's an injury. Well, I hope there's not an injury, but I'm hoping that for at least in this particular example, I hope that there's something that can explain why he would pick somebody over our dearly beloved Christian Pulisic.
Let's be real though. It happens at every club, at every level, from MLS to Serie A to the Premier League, right? That's part of the game. And
I get it.
Christian has always found a way to overcome it. So why would it change now?
No, it's not. It's not.
And he's proven at the club. It's not like he's come to a new club, a new manager is sacked, and all of a sudden his position is in question. That's not the case. We know how good he is.
It just felt like he had done enough to prove himself, that if he had a little run where it wasn't going well, that he could still be trusted to be the guy, and not where, shit, here comes Christian's got to prove himself again, and it just feels like maybe we're falling back into that because a shiny new toy of Joao Felix has shown up.
I
Anyway,
don't think that's the case.
okay. I hope that's
honestly
not the case. Okay, I'm gonna take your silver lining energy, and we're like, way to go, Yunus Musa. Proud of you.
He should have had an assist in the beginning. Santi fluffed his chances.
I know. All right, well, let's take a look ahead then at those our Americans in Italy. Excuse me. Milan will host Lazio this weekend. That turns into a very big game because they're close to each other in the table. Juve is going to host Hellas Verona. And then Venezia will travel to Atalanta and Bergamo. That'll be Gianluca Busio having the opportunity to go up against Adamo Lookman, who I'm a big fan of. And Atalanta either play really, really well or like throw up these stinkers. I don't know what the deal is. But let's take another step in the weekend preview, Chuck, because there's a couple notable matchups that I'm looking forward to. One is Johnny Cardoso and Real Betis hosting Real Madrid. Now, he has been trusted by Manuel Pellegrini. He's played 30 appearances in all competitions this year for the green and white. And this is one of those games. And I look forward to talking to Luca de la Torre about it when he got to play against Real Madrid and Barcelona when he was playing for Celta de Vigo. So these are the moments. I mean, if you're Mauricio Pochettino and the coaching staff, you're like, all right, we've seen him against X, Y, or Z, but now this is the real deal. It's Real Madrid. I'm really excited to see how he performs. Are you in the same boat as me?
Yeah. Whenever you play against a team like this, let's also be honest. This is La Liga. So most teams are quality. Even the lower teams, they have some incredible players. So I don't want people to think that you only get measured against Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. That's not the case. But in terms of a measuring stick for him, against an informed Real Madrid, these are the games you want to show up, because even outside of the U.S. Men's national team, as a player, you're looking to continue to climb the ladder with your club football. And so if that means a move to an Atletico Madrid in the future, or Barca or Real, or, you never know. All it takes is one incredible performance to change the mind of a sporting director or a coach. So right. you look at these moments as big moments for you as an individual to say, look, I can play at the highest level. I can play with the big clubs and the best players. So yeah, of course.
Big weekend.
I'm really looking forward to it for him. And one of my former teammates plays with him. So Cedric Bakumbu and Cucho Hernandez is there as well.
Yeah.
It's a good team to watch.
It's going to be a good game, that one. I love that he goes by Johnny. That's on the back, and he's got a sick mustache. So shout out to Johnny Cardoso. Other games, we got Jedi. Anthony Robinson is taking on Manchester United in the FA Cup. Now, maybe in years past, we'd be like, wow, Manchester United. This year, not so much. Getting staying in the FA Cup. Will Matt Turner start for Crystal Palace versus Millwall?
Crystal Palace have been on a run right now.
They've been on a run, baby. So I could see maybe Dean Henderson getting the nod once again.
No, they're gonna give it to Turner.
Oh, well, I hope so. So Matt Turner, that'll be something to look out for. Tanner Tessman, will he start this weekend after starting against PSG and played all 90 minutes in midfield for new manager Paulo Fonseca, former AC Milan manager Paulo Fonseca, same guy. That would be great to see if he could get back-to-back games. He stayed the 90. Nemanja Matic, who he's there to really learn from and kind of be the Padawan to the Jedi Master of Matic, actually came out of that game first. So I think that's a good sign that maybe he'll get the start again. And then Gio Reyna, will he make back-to-back starts for Borussia Dortmund versus St. Pauli? So we kind of have a couple players that we're watching, of course, with Jedi and Johnny. And then will these guys start and how will they perform? Those are the big ones for me. Now, Chuck, I got one more, and then you can jump in on what one game that you really want to see or which guy you want to see perform. I got to give a shout-out to the Jimmy Conrad derby that's happening this weekend as my two former clubs face off in Kansas City this weekend. Sporting Kansas City is hosting San Jose Earthquakes. Woo! I played 4 years with the Quakes. I played 8 years with Kansas City. And a fun fact, Chuck, I am up in the wall of fame in the stadium. So if you ever go to
Kansas City,
I am there. Yeah, I try to flex it anytime I can. But yes, I'm there, which validates my existence that I was once a decent player. Woo! Anyway, so we got the Jimmy Conrad derby. That's my big MLS matchup this weekend. But of the other guys that I mentioned, who are you most excited or intrigued to see will get the start once again? Is it Matt Turner? Is it Gio? Is it Tanner Tessman?
I think Matt Turner will start because he's done really well in his starts. And so they're playing a team that they should win. And Crystal Palace is moving forward. They're playing really well at the moment. I think he's going to be given the opportunity. I'm going to be looking at Gio Reyna because St. Pauli is bottom of the barrel in the Bundesliga. I think they're 15th place out of 18 teams. So the tough thing with St. Pauli is they're very good defensively. They haven't given up many goals, even though they're not doing well. They're not scoring, but they're not giving up goals. So they're tough to play against. This is a good game if he can get the start to try and break down a team in a low block that's very good defensively. So again, we want to see him get minutes because I'd like to see him called up and see him get in the mix with Pochettino to see, how is he get assessed. I see Dalton Harris, of course, always loving to bring up comments. Do we think Tanner can play in the midfield for the U.S. with McKinney and Tyler? And so my thing is, yes, he could, but they don't play that way anymore. So if we can all remember, Pochettino likes to play with 1-6 and 2 10s. And maybe the second 10 can drop in and play more as an 8, but that's where we've seen Weston McKinney and Christian play higher up the pitch with Tyler Adams, who can cover all that ground as a lone 6. So that works out well. But Tanner could play as a lone 6 if Tyler needed a rest. Right. And Tanner has done well, but I don't see him playing as higher up the pitch. He's more of a protect your back 4. And in that case, I really like to see where Gio is.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun weekend for a lot of different reasons. Lyon host Brest this weekend. Lyon are currently 4 points out of the top 5 in Ligue 1 and 5 points out of top 4. So you got to get a little run going to get themselves back into the conversation for European qualification. And also, we ran a poll right now. We ran a poll, Chuck, where who's going to win the Jimmy Conrad Derby? Is it Sporting Kansas City?
San Jose. It's San Jose.
Sporting Kansas City. They lost both of their games against Inter Miami in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They
just haven't looked good. They haven't even looked like hopeful.
Yeah, hasn't been a good start for Kansas City. So we'll see.
My question to you, Jimmy.
They lost 1-0 to Austin the opening weekend, and I was at the San Jose game, and they looked excellent when they beat RSL 4-0. So I would lean more on current form. I think the Quakes probably have it, but at home, got to give Kansas City a chance, right? What are you saying?
My question, I say San Jose for sure, especially given that you're talking about goal scorers. KC doesn't really have and San Jose has
Joveljic. They got Joveljic. They got to get him going. They got to get Joveljic going.
Would you say he's at the same level as a goal scorer as Joseph Martinez and
not historically, but he's coming off a pretty good year with the Galaxy.
Yeah,
but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, but you look at service too, and I think KC are pretty thin in terms of that attacking talent. So my question to you is on the depth chart for the U.S. men's national team in midfield in that 6th position after Tyler Adams, is it Cardoso or Tessman?
Guess what, Chuck? I'm going to answer this after our first break, baby. Call it what you want. When we come back, that's a tease. That is a proper tease. When we come back, I'm going to answer Chuck's question, and then we're going to get into a segment we like to call Trigger Who You Want. Get those questions going in the chat right now. And when we come back, we'll do our best to answer as many as possible. Don't go anywhere.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1. From sweet to elite to the Final Four.
Okay, welcome back in to Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy alongside Chuck. Now, Chuck, you asked me a question. Who's next after Tyler Adams? Johnny or Tanner?
Yep.
I think that Tanner has an advantage because he got more minutes playing for Pochettino since he's been in charge.
And he played well.
And he got a compliment from Pochettino in the post-game press conference saying he was really impressed and with Tanner's game. So honestly, if we got into the weeds a little bit, I would say it kind of comes down to who makes more progressive plays, right? Who can break the lines with their passing? Who's looking to play forward when it's the time to play forward, right? It's not always the right time to play forward. And then who makes that right decision to maybe play laterally or back, and then that allows us to unlock a team in a different way. Or are they good at running with the ball and breaking the lines that way? That's a Yunus Musa special, right? He's very good at that. So I would almost come down to, and then who can join the attack, right? We saw that Tanner did that and in the second leg against Jamaica, where he was getting involved, getting a little higher up the field. And so those are the little details that I think are going to probably separate one from the other. we know Johnny's got it in his bag too because he does it for his club, but maybe we haven't seen it as much at the national team level. And Tanner's all right, shown that he's got a little bit of that for both club and country. So yeah, I think that Tanner has an edge there. So I would probably go Tyler first, Tanner second, Johnny third. Aiden Moore's got a couple looks too now that he's back being healthy and getting regular minutes.
But he's not at that
Busio,
level.
would you put Busio as a 6? Where do you put Busio? Is he one of the 10s?
No, I think Busio is one of the 10s, but I think Aiden Morris is below all those guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. But I just didn't know if he was where he was on your pecking order. So
and it's tough, right? Because you think about guys who can play multiple positions. I would still put Yunus Musa ahead of most of those guys. Like I put Yunus Musa ahead of Cardoso. Tessman in that area, I think maybe Tessman gives you a little bit more, you
still need somebody to stay true to the position, that area of the field.
Yeah.
So for me, Yunus still he's moving around a little bit. He likes to move around, which
with the ball cool. At his feet, right?
Yeah, it's part of his strength. But like sitting in the hole, he can do it. But I don't think Yunus's instincts are that. He likes to move around and like help double or help close. He's always on the move. And sometimes the best 6 is just know when to go and when to stay. And also you got to protect the back 4 too, right? Or the back 3.
Think of the best 6s too. They're not your dribblers. Yunus Musa will maze and dribble into the attack.
He's more of an 8.
6s aren't doing that. 6s get it, play, get it, play. Dictate the tempo. That's why I think Tessman will fit better as a 6 than a Yunus Musa with the national team. So I think Tyler Adams has really developed playing at Bournemouth. I'd like to see him in games be a little bit more cutthroat, be a little bit more courageous going forward and playing between the lines. But it feels like maybe Areola is telling him to play, play safe, because that's what it feels like. He wins the ball, he does all the dirty work, but then he plays safe. He's not really taking those risks, and maybe that's because of the style that Bournemouth plays. But ultimately, I'd like him to take one step further and play some of those balls in the channel, in tight spaces to the striker's feet or the winger's checking. But ultimately, we have a lot of options in the midfield. So I'm really
excited.
Pleased.
I'm excited as well. Speaking of Bournemouth, they play the FA Cup this weekend against Wolves, who they just played recently last weekend in Bournemouth, and they lost 1-0. So a little redemption time here, and we'll see if Tyler gets to start. He didn't get to start in that other one against Wolves. So that'd be a good one for the Cherries. All right, let's get into Trigger Who You Want. We had a couple questions already thrown at us from either previous shows or hitting us up online in the DMs, whatever it may be. And Chuck, we got a good one from Andre Medina, who is a longtime listener and supporter of the show and of us two in particular.
Okay.
So we appreciate you, Andre.
Thank you, Andre.
Big hugs and big love to you. And the question is, this is a lot of layers to this one. Who is your favorite coach during your career and why? Chuck, you can go first.
Oh, I love it. Man, as a professional, my favorite coach is my first, and that would be Tony Gustafsson, who is now the head coach for the Swedish women's national team. And I think the reason why, it's pretty simple. He took a chance on me and helped develop me. And there were a lot of hurdles in my first season, being away from home, living on my own, trying to eat right. But he saw the potential in me and worked me to the core. And it started with, training, the training after training, the training before training, not so much the training that the team was a part of. It was mostly individual training and working with the assistant coach, working with him. He took the time to really get me to the next level. He invested a lot in me. And so I'm so thankful and grateful that he saw that in me and took the time to coach me on and off the pitch. And so I look at him as someone I truly respect. And the next guy would be Bob Bradley. Obviously Bob gave me a lot of chances, gave me my first national team camp, but he gave me the tough love. And I'll always appreciate that. And I'll never forget how he handled my situation with the national team when I was involved in the car accident. And he kept me going. He could have easily buried me or tried to keep me down or say, you're never going to play again or never going to meet your level. But he kind of gave me those words of encouragement to say, we're all behind you. We're proud of how far you've come, but you're not done. You got to keep going. who knows how far you'll make it. But those words always stuck with me. So I'm grateful for those two coaches. But I'd say my favorite coach is Tony Gustafsson.
I love that. Those are great answers. And it's interesting when you are going through your career, your playing career, there are certain things that are hitting you at certain times, right, Chuck, where you needed to hear from Tony in that moment, right?
Yeah.
That was the right guy at the right time to hear from. And then Bob obviously gave you some incredible words of support and consistent support that you needed at that time.
When I was rock bottom, right? Well, it's
Rock
like,
bottom. Yeah.
It could so easily have been, we've seen coaches, Jimmy, say, you're out of the squad. You're never playing. You know, I gave you my trust and you just pushed it aside. Like you didn't care enough to make the right decision in the right moment, right? Could have easily gone that way.
Right.
And he said, we're with you. You're one of us, your family. So those are words that are
the timing of that, and obviously that's Bob being a fantastic human there. So big props to him for that. Yeah, I got to be coached by some of the greatest to ever do it. Ziggy Schmid was my college coach, and then I had Frank Yallop and Lothar Osiander back in the day. Brian Quinn also in San Jose, and Dom Kinnear was Frank's assistant. So you're getting guys at that point that were really trying to prove themselves and were hungry, just like we were as a team, which I think started to lead to a lot of success for San Jose. Kansas City, I had Bob Gansler. I got coached by Kurt Anolfo and Peter Vermes, and then Robin Fraser and Greg Vanny when I went to Chivas for a little bit till I got a concussion and had to retire. And then with the national team, I had Bruce Arena and Bob Bradley. So I've got a who's who to choose from here.
Yeah, you do. Gosh.
What's interesting is, in terms of tough love, I think the toughest love I received was from Bob Gansler. And I don't know if I've shared the story with you, Chuck. I'll recirculate it here for
elaborate.
So I won the 2005 MLS Defender of the Year award. And when I found out that morning,
humble brag, let's go.
Listen. As someone that was a walk-on in college that got undrafted into MLS, winning a league.
Where's the trophy back there behind you? Where's the trophy?
It's not back here.
What?
Because I'm humble.
Oh, stop.
So no, it's in storage. But when I won that award, obviously I was beaming, man. We found out, and within 15 minutes of finding out, like I could barely bask in like how awesome that was to win something that significant. Bob Gansler pulled me aside to walk with me, and he goes, "Hey, you only deserve that for 60% of the year." And I was heartbroken. Like I just couldn't even have like a day. He gave me like 15 minutes to feel good about myself, and then boom.
Damn.
And then not only that, he gave the defensive team award to Nick Garcia, one of my teammates. I wasn't even the team defender of the year on my own team. So he was trying to prove a point. Obviously, we've hashed it out since. But I remember going home and being really upset that my coach didn't feel like my coach had my back at that point.
Whoa. Time out. Before you even go further, you hashed it out. So you've talked later on.
Later on, because
what was his reasoning for that?
He said that he wanted to keep me sharp because he thought I was on, and he was right. I was on the precipice of making the 2006 World Cup roster. And I was, we're 4 months away from that roster being announced, and he didn't want me to rest on my laurels. And
do you agree with him?
I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, but do you agree with him? Like, do you think that worked the right way?
Well, it did because I made the roster, so it's hard to say. but if it was, I thought it was a risk. He had been around me long enough to know at that point there may have been different ways to, or you could have just said, "Hey, you won this award, congratulations, but hey, you got something big coming up. I'm going to stay on your ass," and I probably would have received that a lot better. I went home and actually, I was upset. I was crying.
I was going to say, you're going to cry.
I had to get it out. I was like, why would somebody say that to me in a moment of this accomplishment that I was really proud of, and worked hard to get that type of recognition. And what I loved about, I don't know how it is now in terms of voting with MLS, player votes, but a lot of it was your peers voting for you. So when you get your peers voting for you, it means so much more than a media member who doesn't know what the grind's like per se, or or whatever it may be, or fans, which are more popular. And yes, I'm handsome, but doesn't always mean you win all the popular votes, Chuck. So it's so when you get voted on from your peers, just means so much. So anyway, yeah, but that made I had to get thicker skin, and that's where he was coming from. So you learn these little things along the way, and in hindsight, I did appreciate his approach, but it took me a while to get there. So in the moment, maybe I didn't feel like he was my favorite, but in hindsight, getting coached by Bob Gansler, who'd seen so much, he coached Tony, obviously, he was the 1990 World Cup coach for us, was a pretty big deal. And I learned a little bit from everybody. But I would say in terms of man management, and if I end up getting into coaching in a more meaningful way, which you and I are both in the UEFA coaching course now, which we're both excited about, Chuck. We're going to crush it, baby.
UEFA coaching license, here we come.
Me and Chuck are in the same class, everybody. So that's going to, you already know fireworks are going to be happening in that one. But I think the coach that I'll probably take the most from, in terms of how I loved how he managed a locker room, and how he managed the team, and how clear he was with his communication, and tried to meet people and all the players where they were, right? Didn't try to change, didn't want to make them be something that they weren't. And I think that's really important, is Bruce Arena, hands down. And obviously when he takes me to a World Cup, he's always going to be my favorite coach of all time. But there was the way that he managed that team and that group that I was really impressed with. And his record speaks for itself. And there's no doubt in my mind he's going to turn around the San Jose Earthquakes in a meaningful way. So, but you take a little bits and pieces from everybody. I took something from Bob, took something from Ziggy, took something from everybody along the way, and it's going to make me a good coach. And it's made me a more well-rounded human, right? Because I had to learn through different successes and failures, and had their advice to lean on.
Could I give you
Go ahead.
one more curveball here in terms of best coaches I ever had?
Yeah.
Actually, one of the best coaches I ever had, he's up there, is my wrestling coach in high school. Alex Konovalchuk. He's a Harvard grad. He played football and wrestled at Harvard. And so, not too many players, football players, soccer players have wrestled, right? As a sport. And so that was my winter conditioning sport kind of, all right, winter in New England, can't really play outdoors. So, this is my time to kind of get out of this, the grind of training and playing and thinking about being a professional footballer, and, burn off some steam, have some fun doing something else that could sharpen my skills as I continue to develop. And so wrestling helped me develop this mental toughness and understanding the human body and the balance and the give and push and the just being out on the mat by yourself and becoming a team leader. So I was a captain for my wrestling team, but not a captain for the soccer team. And he taught me so many valuable lessons, that just because you're the best on the team in a sport doesn't mean you're a leader. It doesn't mean that you're moving guys in the right way. And I learned so much about that, because I was so hurt that I wasn't the captain of my soccer team. But then he helped me understand that it's not about being the best player that makes you a leader. You can't assume that you're a leader because you're the best. It's about, the team spirit and are you doing the best for the team? And because I wasn't the best wrestler on my team, we had one kid who never lost a match in New England throughout his whole career. I understood that I needed to be, such a team leader in that way. And with my performances and with how I'm trying to inspire the guys in practice and in matches, that stuck with me forever. And so I always think of him as one of the mentors I had as a high schooler that helped me become a professional soccer player.
I love that. I think one of the things that I tell parents if I'm coaching my daughter's team or other young people is that sports accelerates life lessons, right? And so your coach obviously leaned into that and helped shape you into a better leader and someone that understood that, okay, it can't just be about me. I have to think about the whole team as well, which is really important. Speaking of that, I should give a shout out to my coach, Ron. I was with him for many years.
Ron!
He laid the foundation for understanding the game. And I remember we used to laugh, like, what is this? What, third person running? What do we even, he just bring up third person running. It's really important. So we're like, yeah. We just got to go through the motions, but he started to really plant the seeds and lay the foundation for me in terms of being a student of the game. So shout out to Coach Ron. All right, we got a couple more questions. I knew that question was going to take a while because we want to be able to share.
Open up a can of worms.
For sure. Okay. Somebody asked me in the chat, what other sports did I play? And was it only soccer year round? What's up, Ondas? So I played baseball until I was 11. And then my coach, Ron, was like, hey, you're getting to a point now, and all the players are kind of the same age where you need to make a decision. And it was like, most of the parents were pissed that we had to choose. I was like, what are you talking about? Baseball is boring AF, dude. I just stand there and kind of hope the ball gets hit to me so I can do something. So I immediately went to soccer and never looked back. I played basketball as well when I had the opportunity.
Shout out to Coach Ron.
Coach Ron, baby. He had it all figured out. And you did wrestling? Did you do any other sports, Chuck?
Yeah. So Pop Warner football for 2 years, 7th and 8th grade. High school, got to give it up because they're in the same season in New England.
Right.
And then I wrestled, and that was it. I did JV baseball my freshman year of high school. And, I was a center fielder. I'd run to right field and left field, and I'd take the fly balls. My teammates, my coach, like, all right, this ain't it. So after that, I just did community service for the spring. So we had to do things every season. So I did community service my sophomore, junior, senior year.
I could see you'd be running your mouth all day, like in a baseball dugout, spitting out
all day. I was
trash.
I was bunting. I was bunting. I would lead off. I'd bunt, get on first base, and just try and steal every base, and even including home. And then baseball wasn't for your boy. I was scared. I was scared shitless that I was gonna get beamed, because I also thought, I'm in JV. These guys can't control their fastball. I'm gonna get nailed in the face with the body. So I'm out there like with the bat trying to protect myself. It was just not a good look.
It's you remind me, if anybody's seen that movie, that old school movie, Major League, you're like Willie Mays Hayes. You're just trying to get on base, and you're going to steal every single base. I absolutely love it. The visual of you playing baseball actually puts a big smile on my face. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, we have a whole
imagine the tight pants, the tight baseball pants out there bunting with my righty bunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With a big giant cup, because you're trying to act like you got a bigger dunk than you actually do.
Yeah.
We got a ton of questions. We're going to have to save them for another show, because we have a very special guest coming up next.
Woo!
His name is Luca de la Torre, 24 caps for the national team. Scored his first goal against Canada earlier, or last year now. I was almost about to say earlier this year, but we are now into 2025. So yes, we're excited to have Luca on. So we're going to take our next break. And when we come back, the man, the myth, the legend, Luca de la Torre is going to be joining us. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back in to Call What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Chuck Wagon Davies and our very special guest, who we teased earlier in the show, San Diego FC's Luca de la Torre. Luca, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so San Diego FC wins their first ever game, an excellent performance on both sides of the ball against the defending champions, LA Galaxy. Is that really how you thought it was going to go? Because mainly, it's usually a struggle for expansion sides in their first ever game in existence.
Yeah, I knew we had a good team kind of coming in, and that we had good ideas. I think always in football, like, the margins are kind of thin, so you never know what's going to happen until the ball goes in or it doesn't go in. But yeah, winning the first game is just really important, in terms of like building excitement for us and having everyone together before our first home game. So yeah, it's really special.
It couldn't have been a better start for San Diego, for the club. But in terms of your ability coming into this league, what did you think of MLS play? Like, these are the defending champions, right? A lot of these guys played at a high level last season. First game of the season, how would you kind of analyze the league, like the level of the league? Is it better than what you thought? Is it about the same? I doubt it's below what you thought. So just in your mind, what do you think coming into MLS, the top quality teams, the top caliber teams, how that, played out for you?
Yeah, I've only played like 2 preseason games and then just the last match, so it's still early to say either way. But I think the level of the players is really good. There's definitely players on every team that you think, oh wow, good player that you've never, heard of before because I haven't watched a lot of the league. Yeah, I think that the level of the individuals is good. Maybe tactically, I think there are things that we're doing here that will help us a lot against other teams.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Luca, you scored your first U.S. men's national team goal during an interim basis for us when Mikey Varas was in charge. And now Mikey Varas is your MLS coach. Coincidence? I think not. These are good vibes here, Luca, that I'm saying. But yeah, I don't really have a question other than that. I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. But what I do want to say is scoring your first goal for the national team, doing it against Canada as well. What are your thoughts about the U.S. national team under Mauricio Pochettino and your role within it now that you're getting more playing time outside of what you were getting at Celta?
Yeah, I think I think about things quite small. People always want to ask these big questions. I'm just thinking about the next game. I know that if I get back to playing every week, to contributing a lot and to playing really well, then we can talk about and think about the national team. But at the moment, we have a really important game on Saturday, and that's the most important thing.
So
what a pro! He's a pro, Chuck. He's a pro.
He is a pro. We know that though.
We know.
Luca, if you're thinking about managers you've played for, how is Mikey Varas different from some of those managers? I mean, you played for Rafa Benitez, a Champions League winning manager. What have you seen over the course of your career? What are some of the things that you like, what you haven't liked, and then where is Mikey Varas fit within that ecosystem?
Yeah, so I knew Mikey as an assistant coach before. He doesn't have the personality that I think most players would normally associate with a head coach, which is kind of interesting. He's a lot more soft-spoken. He's not screaming all the time. So coming into it, honestly, I didn't really know how it was going to work out, but I think he's done a really good job so far. He has really clear tactical ideas. He communicates to players in a way that works for him and it gets his point across. So I think it's been really positive.
So using that as a catalyst for this next question, are you being asked to do more things going forward than maybe you had been in the past with Celta or with the national team? Or are there any different responsibilities that Mikey is now putting on your shoulders that maybe you didn't have in the past?
Yeah, I'm playing more in the pocket than I was kind of in last seasons. Of course, goals and assists are really important there. That's something I'm always working on adding more of. But yeah, obviously I can't lose also the other things that I do for the team on the other side of the ball and progressing the ball and linking up play and stuff. But yeah, that's definitely like the next step for me is having a season with 10 plus goals and assists.
Yeah, so that's what's up.
So you, in hearing that, it feels like a lot more is being placed on your shoulders for this team, right? To move them forward. Do you feel more at home? Because I know there's a past quote you had that you said, you can't possibly play your best football unless you feel at home. And it feels like, one, you are back in the United States, you're playing in MLS, but two, maybe your position on the pitch, what is asked of you, makes you feel a little bit more comfortable, more free. Is that fair to say? Do you feel like you're on the right path to be playing your best football?
Yeah, I am physically at home, which is really nice after so long away. I think here we have a good team with good players with clear ideas. So obviously it's a really big opportunity for me personally to really try to explode this season.
Luca's so good. He's good. Chuck, he's got us. He's got us down with the really good, smart, sharp hands. He's been around. He's been around the European press.
You can't break him.
We can't break him. We cannot break Luca De La Torre right now. Okay, so you talked about being away from home for a long time, Luca, and you left home at 15 to go to Fulham's academy.
That's early. Damn.
Really early. How was that experience, and how much did that develop or help you develop kind of as a human ultimately, that now allows you to maybe handle adversity and pressure and expectations in a different way, as opposed to maybe staying in your bubble for a little bit longer?
Yeah, 15 was really young. Looking back at it, I probably would have loved to have something like this here, like San Diego FC here right now. I probably would have stayed a few more years. and it would have been a maybe more smooth kind of path. But yeah, like moving to a different country at 15, being a professional, you're treated like an adult. You have to perform, and if you don't, things go badly for you. So I was kind of thrown into the deep end at a really young age, and I probably suffered early for it. But in the end, with those experiences, I became tougher. I learned a lot, so it put me in a better position now.
Well, you got to travel Europe, travel the world, play at such a high level. You have to look back at your career path and be so impressed with what you've been able to accomplish, given that you left at 15. How many, Jimmy, Luca, we've seen a lot of 15-year-olds in this country that were at a top level, right? And they peter out. They never fulfill their potential. And you have to look back and go, damn, I really have accomplished a lot. So looking back, where do you feel like the most pride? Where do you feel like, man, that was a difficult time, but I overcame it? What are some of those moments?
Yeah, there were a few. I remember one. I was playing for Fulham. I was like kind of 21 years old, and I had a season where I was injured a lot. It was in the last year of my contract, and that was kind of like a moment where like I saw like kind of the cliff, that a lot of guys fall off of.
Yes.
They don't get a chance. They go down a level, they get injured, and then before you know it, they don't really have a career anymore. So that was a moment I remember really kind of realizing my situation, taking a lot of personal responsibility, and then making the most out of it. And I played for the reserves. I did well enough to get signed by Heracles, and then from there, I kind of kept making small steps in my career. But yeah, it's a hard job. A lot of guys fall off that cliff.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you right now, Jim, I was going to say, Jimmy, people will never quite understand the pressure and the stress of heading into a contract year, and maybe you're not a starter, and figuring out, what's next for me. Can I figure out a way to play and earn a contract? What's my next move? Is somebody going to want me if I'm not playing? And all the pressure that goes into that, and especially if you're dealing with injuries and you got that going on. So props to you, Luca, for staying mentally tough during that, because it's not easy.
Yeah, 100%. I'd also add that when you're talking about development, it's learning how to survive so that you can thrive, right? And it seems like you've done that and figured that out. And to have that self-awareness at 21, to Chuck's point, is really, really impressive. So we bow down to your greatness, Luca. Now, I had the opportunity. Now, obviously, you're 26. You still got plenty of time to go. We're excited about your future as well. I had the opportunity to play against Real Madrid in the Bernabeu way back. I won't even give you the year. And I won't tell you
did.
I won't even tell you the score, Luca. But
who were you playing for?
Who were you playing for?
It was a friendly game. No, it was one of the last friendlies they do.
Okay.
It was an MLS All-Star game. So we got all thrown together last minute. Okay, that's fine. Everybody can roll their eyes. It's fine. But what I learned in that game, it was like R9 Ronaldo, Raul, Zidane, Beckham, Roberto Carlos. I learned so much in those 90 minutes because I learned how efficient those guys are on both sides of the ball. They do not waste any energy. And I came back and I was smarter and I thought smarter and I just played quicker and I just saw another level, and it stayed with me. Still, obviously, I'm still talking about it 20 plus years later. But what I wanted to ask you is, had you had that moment where you're like, you're on the field and you don't necessarily, they're good players, but you're starting to pick up on the little things that these world-class guys do. And how did you implemented that into your game?
Yeah, I played twice at the Bernabeu. We lost 2-0. We lost 4-0. I remember in those games, it's always, I think, also dealing with the moment, kind of, I believe, and a lot of other people believe, like, that the differences between the really, really great players and the ones that are really good isn't really that big, In a lot of cases, it can be more mental than anything. What you get with a lot of guys when they go to the Bernabeu, it's like, wow, this is Madrid, and, that's Mbappe, and it just is, can be really difficult to be kind of overwhelmed by that moment. So I think it's more about respecting everyone, whether you play against Real Madrid or against
Barca,
or a USL team even. It's like really everyone at the professional level deserves deserves your respect, but you also shouldn't be scared of them either, because at the end of the day, they're also just players. You know, I've played games against really big teams where, you know, we've gotten results or definitely deserve to get results. So yeah, it can be done, you know.
So in having that perspective and that experience, how have you been able to translate that to the U.S. men's national team? Because it feels like there are a lot of guys, they play club football and then they make the transition in the international games a little bit different, right? It's mentality, it's the speed of play sometimes, the way that the team is gelling versus what the coach wants from them. How has that helped you make that transition? And where do you feel you are right now in terms of, all right, Mauricio Pochettino, new manager, where do you see yourself in his plans?
Yeah, the national team is difficult because it's really kind of few opportunities, you know, you can end up getting.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was playing for Heracles, I was called up a few times and I knew like, okay, I'm going to get maybe 15 minutes in this game and I have to be really, really good, you know, and that if I can do that, then maybe I'll get another chance and I'll get 20 minutes somewhere else. And then I have to keep on building on that. So I think it's really important to be able to accept that situation. And then you really have to take those opportunities when they come. So yeah, that's kind of the situation I'm in now. Again, I would say that I have to do really well for my club to deserve those 20 or 30 minutes, and then I have to make them count when they come.
Well, speaking of your club, then, Luca, you have your first home game with San Diego FC this weekend against St. Louis City. How are you guys feeling about that? Are you feeling more pressure because it's the first home game, or do you feel like you can relax a little bit because you won the first one against the defending champs away from home in LA?
No, this is going to be a really, really massive game. The stadium's going to be sold out. You know, to win this game, I'd say is more important than winning the first game for us. And yeah, it's just about building kind of this feeling of momentum here, and that, you know, I believe definitely that it's a team that can do something special this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one game at a time. This is massive for you. And in terms of the nice iPhone ring. In terms of can you hear us?
I lost you guys. Wait one sec.
Oh, okay.
Vicky, someone's calling you.
Vicky's blowing up right now.
Yeah, come on, Vic.
Come on, Vicky.
Come on, Vic.
Jacob Jackson.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah.
Jacob Jackson. All right. In terms of your season right now and being more of a presence with San Diego, there's no pro relegation, right? How have you continued to kind of keep those juices going, like the competitiveness in training and holding people accountable, and without that pressure of, okay, we're playing for Europe, or we're playing for a promotion, or we're playing for the league championship, or making sure we don't get relegated? How do you keep that same intensity throughout the season?
Yeah, it's definitely about having internal standards. You have to demand more of each other and demand more of yourself. And definitely having competition in the group for minutes is really important also. But at the end of the day, I think the easiest solution is that we just have to be a team that's playing to win something. So we have to make sure that we're up there in the table, that we'll be in the playoffs, and then that we can, hopefully win something.
All right, Luca, before we let you go, part of our tradition, we talk about jersey swaps. Have you, or who's your most famous player that you've ever swapped a jersey with? Or maybe we give an exception here. Sometimes maybe somebody waved you off because
Jimmy got the big wave.
I've been waved off a few times. Listen, let's be honest. Listen, Luca, I went for Riquelme. Okay, we were playing against Argentina in the Copa America, and I went for the big dog, Riquelme. Not only did he wave me off, he didn't even look at me. He wouldn't even make eye contact with me.
He gave him the stiff arm. Like, no.
What a bastard! Come on, Riquelme. I'm a Boca fan too. Come on, man, have some respect. Okay, so is there any good jersey swap stories you got for us?
Yeah, I don't really swap jerseys.
I knew it. I knew he wouldn't swap
I have
jerseys.
some really, really strange ones. I have a Grenada shirt because one of the Grenada players wanted to swap with me.
That's good.
I have a Uli Yanez, who played for Herenveen in the Eredivisie, an American guy.
Okay.
I have Yunus Musa Valencia.
Ooh,
that's a good one.
That's
That's a good one.
Actually, I got Frankie de Jong shirt because my girlfriend is Dutch, and so I gave it to her dad. But that's it.
What a man! Oh my God!
That's amazing. That's a good shout.
He said, "Okay, this is how I get into the family right here, bing, right to the heart."
You love it. You love it.
Luca,
when he plays Sunday League now, so it's like
that's amazing.
go.
Well, Luca, thank you so much for your time. Good luck this weekend in San Diego FC's home opener, their first ever game at Snapdragon Stadium. And we, of course, wish you the best of luck throughout the season and with the U.S. men's national team. We're pulling for you to get called up either in March or in the Gold Cup or both or whatever it may be. So continued success, my man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
yeah, all the best.
Luca de la Torre. Awesome.
One of golf's elite courses, Quail Hollow, hosts the game's top players at the PGA Championship this May on CBS.
All right, welcome back in to Call It What You Want. This is it, Chuck. We're just going to probably say goodbye at this point. But a great interview there with Luca. I thought we broke him there at the end.
We did break him.
We got him.
I knew this was a slow play. It was like, oh, we can't break him, make him feel, and then he just blossomed throughout that interview.
We got that. We got a good jersey swap at the end too. Frankie De Jong, I think, is a good shout. So we appreciate Luca for spending some time with us, and we appreciate everybody else for hanging out with us. We love your support for the show, both on the YouTube's Golasso America. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're listening to this on your podcast platform of choice, we appreciate your support here as well. Reminder, actually, I guess this is an update, Chuck, because starting next week, we're going Tuesday, Thursday.
Woo!
And we are starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. I'll be honest, that's a little early for us West Coasters.
But for you West Coasters, you got the rest of your day. Right?
That's true. It's true. But I just throw that out there. It's going to be bright and early for us. However,
and Thursday, baby.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern for the next week, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Also, as a reminder, we're going to be in LA for the Nations League. So if you're going to be there, if you're involved with the American Outlaws at all, we're going to be doing some stuff with them too. Just be on alert that some special things are going to be happening when we're in LA. Chuck, it's going to be great. I can't wait to see you in person. All right, that's it. We're calling it a show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much to Ivis and Dez and producer Mark, who's been filling in for Dez on this show. And we will see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Later.